Hey y'all, it's your girl Jess and I'm back with another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I prep the natural nails for nail tips, as well as how I shape my nail tips into stiletto. So first things first, jumping straight right into the video, I am going in with my fine grit sanding band and my mandrel bit. I have my e-file on 5 RPMs and I'm just going in and removing the natural shine from the nail, as well as removing any excess cuticle that may be stuck on the natural nail plate. I didn't record it, but I did go ahead and push back the cuticles on all 10 of her nails because her hands, you can see they are a little bit ashy. We did do a soak off beforehand, so I pretty much started prep. I just didn't finish, but like I said, we did do a soak off and I'm just going to go ahead and finish my prep. So removing the natural shine of the nail, as well as removing any excess cuticle. After that, you'll see that I'm going to go in with my cuticle ball bit. And you'll see this is what I use to kind of make sure that any excess skin that needs to be removed is kind of pushed up from the skin. Now you can do this portion before you go in with your mandrel bit. Personally, I like to go with my mandrel bit first and then go in with my cuticle ball bit, because I do use my mandrel bit to get all of the cuticle off of this nail plate. So I do, like I said, get really close to the cuticle to make sure that it is pushed up. I just go back in after the fact and I'll push back the skin, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in this next clip. So here I am, I'm going in with my cuticle ball bit, and I do use this in reverse. I do have my e-file on 5 RPMs, which is a very low speed, and I want to make sure that I'm holding the bit at a really good angle so that I don't dig into her natural nail plate. And I'm just using this to push, like I said, the excess skin that needs to be removed up. Now, this is optional. It is a very optional step. My clients prefer the more cleaner look, so I do go in and I clip any excess cuticle, but you do not have to do this. Sometimes clients don't even really have it. It just depends on the person. I want to say this client, she did have a few, I would say a few, I can't even talk. She does have a little bit of skin that I'm just going to go in and nip. And in this next clip here, you'll see where I go in with my nippers, and I'm just going ahead and clip off any excess skin. By using that bit, it will definitely show you the difference between the dead and the live skin. You'll see that the dead skin shows white, and you can kind of see it sticking up. You can see it really good right here. All of that skin that's sticking up is all of the dead skin. So I'm just going to go ahead and nip that on all 10 fingers. You can see it. It's just so crazy. Like, some people prefer to not have it nipped, but like I said, my clients, they prefer like the more cleaner look. So they do ask me to go ahead and nip it, and that is exactly what I'm doing. So I'll be back after you guys see me nip off all of the dead skin on all 10 fingers. So now that I'm finished nipping all of the dead skin off of my client's nails, I'm just going in with my dust brush and I'm thoroughly dusting off all of the dust and or any excess skin that could have been left. I'm just dusting that off. Then I'm going to go in with my nail tips. These nail tips that I use are from Amazon. So if you're looking for some really good tips, make sure to check out the description. I do have my Amazon storefront linked. That is where you will find really good quality nail supplies for a really good price. Make sure you guys check that out. Whenever you're sizing your nail tips, you do want to make sure that you're sizing them sidewall to sidewall. You also do want to make sure that like the little prongs toward the bottom of the nail tip, the part that does supposed to fit sidewall to sidewall, you do want to make sure that those are glued down. Now you don't want to go in with a whole lot of glue. You want to make sure that you're using very minimal glue. You also want to make sure that you're putting your nail tip very far to the towards the end of the free edge. You don't want your nail tip to be towards the middle of the nail. So because if anything happens, your clients hit their hand or anything and that nail breaks, typically where it breaks is a stress point, normally where the natural nail and the tip meets. If your client ends up breaking that, their natural nail can go with them. So just try to make sure that you put it as closest to the free edge as possible. This will avoid them typically breaking their real nails, because normally it happens once the nails are older, they've already grown out. So by that time the nail tip should be grown out, and then it should be just a clean break whenever it comes to like just their acrylic, and it shouldn't break their natural nail. So I'm also making sure that when I put on my tips, like I said, I'm measuring from sidewall to sidewall. I want to make sure that I'm following her knuckle. Your knuckle is going to be the straightest portion of your finger. Even if the tips of your finger curve, you want to make sure that you are following the knuckle and making sure that you align the tip with the knuckle, and this will give you the straightest nails as possible. And as you can see, she has a couple of curved tips on her fingers, so I am making sure that I put my tips on really straight, like I said, following the knuckle, so that we don't have any issues with like her nails looking crooked or anything. And you'll see at the end, towards the end, when I show you guys the finished result, that none of her nails are crooked. It pretty much just creates an illusion once I go in and shape it. If you put the nail tip as straight as possible towards the knuckle, you won't be able to tell that their client has crooked fingers. Now, typically everyone has crooked fingers, so this is normal, I would say. And like you see how I'm just making sure that the tip is aligned with the knuckle. And I use my finger as a guide because sometimes it's kind of hard to see. You'll see that that one was applied crookedly. So I'm just going to go in, I'm going to cut those down, reapply tips, and just to fix that issue, because like I said, I don't want any of her nails to be crooked. I want to make sure that they're as straight as possible. So I just cut the tip down. This is a method that I typically like to use if I'm like in a pinch, or like kind of, you know, the client has somewhere to go or she's in a rush. I'll just cut down the tip. Sometimes we have time to soak off the extra tips, sometimes we don't, but I just glue right on top of it. It doesn't do anything bad or nothing. I will go in under it after the fact and file down the tip, the excess tip, so then it just becomes one tip, pretty much just blended together. So those are just some really good tips whenever it comes to applying tips, as well as making sure that you apply your tips as straight as possible. Another tip would be to turn the client's hand around and make sure that you put their hand in the way that they would look at their hand. So if your client was to take their four fingers and put them down flat, and they would, as they would be just like looking at their nails, you would see that they look at it a different way than how you do. So just making sure to check your nails at all different angles will be another good way to make sure that you, one, put them on straight, that your shaping is right, and that you're not missing out on anything. It also kind of like just like resets your eyes. I don't know. It just really helps with me. That's how I check all of my tips to make sure that they are straight. After I do put all 10 tips on, I do go in and I do that process for both hands, just to make sure that I put on the tips as straight as possible. And you can see these tips, they look so good. They're nice and straight, and they are square tips. I am going to shape these by hand. I know nowadays we typically like to use pre-shaped tips. So I do sometimes use pre-shaped tips, but for her hand specifically, I feel like the pre-shaped ones kind of slender her hand a little too much. So I'm just going to go in and actually like make my own shape that's pretty much going to be the best fit for her hand without having to worry about her stiletto nails being too skinny or breaking on her. Also, the nail glue that I am using in the video is the Macart glue. I used to use KDS, and you can see it's one on my desk here. I used to use KDS glue. Recently I stopped using them because the glue was just starting to become gummy, and it was like it could be brand new and it would be hard, and I was just having too many complications, and I'm opening brand new bottles and just the whole bottle is bad. So I did switch over to the Macart glue. I would say that I love it. So far, I haven't had any issues. I would say that you will notice an issue with your tips sticking if your room is really hot. So this glue, you do have to make sure you keep at the perfect temperature just to make sure that you have no issues with bonding. So we have all 10 tips on, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my mandrel bit one more time, and I'm going to blend the natural nail in the tips just to make sure that I have a smooth application whenever it comes to that point. This just helps me pretty much get rid of any lumps or bumps that I would have before I go in and do application. Now, I would say that some people don't do this step. I've always done this step. This is just one of those things I feel like that really melts the nail tip in with the natural nail. So this is one thing that I will continue to do in my nail career. But like I said, personal preference. I do it. I think you should do it. I think everyone should do it. But I know some people that they don't do it. So to each his own. I don't really know what's like the technical, I guess, term for the reason for doing it, but I just feel like I said, it melts it in really good. So I'm going to go in now. I'm going to cut her nail tips to her length, her desired length, and then I'm going to go in and cut out the actual V-tip shape. So now whenever I do cut the nail tips to length, I use the magnet trick. I know you guys have seen this everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'm pretty much, I want to say she's getting medium in this video. Yeah, she's getting about medium, a little bit longer than medium, I would say. And I just use the refrigerator magnets. I put it on a nail tip cutter, and this just allows me to get the same length all across the board. Now, I would say to double, triple check, because yes, it does allow you to get the same length across the board, but sometimes some people have fingers that are shorter than others. Sometimes you might use a different kind of pressure. It might just end up making the tip short. So I would just say to check after you cut, and just, size your tips, your fingers together, just to make sure that they're even all the way around. And here I am just asking her if she wanted them cut down a little bit shorter. And I want to say she did. So we did go a little bit shorter. I want to say she was looking at medium long, but then we ended up going back down to like medium. And sometimes my clients, they feel as if they want their nails to be a little bit longer because, that's just what we see on Instagram. But sometimes it's not practical for them and what they do. And in this particular video, my client, she is a med student. So she really does need her nails to be able to get her science labs and stuff done. She doesn't really need them too long. So I'm just going in with my scissors, and I'm just going to cut out my stiletto shape. This is just going to cut down my shaping time in half. And as you can see, I'm trying to make sure that I do not cut her, and I want to make sure that I cut as closest to the side walls as possible. I want to make sure that I get it as much into a V as possible so that I have less to shape, but I also want to make sure that I don't cut it too skinny. I do need room to file to make sure that I don't pretty much over file because I overcut it. That kind of makes sense. But you kind of want it to look like weird almond looking shape. This is going to be the best way to get your stiletto. I'm going to do this on all 10 fingers. Like I said, just be careful to make sure you don't cut your client. I do just try to make sure that I take my time when I'm doing this because these scissors are really sharp and you can cut your client.
I'm out of time. She's out the door, I gotta go for mine. Or should I talk about a smile? Or what about a style? I'm out of time. She's out the door, I gotta go for mine. At the door, say yeah. And I gotta admit that you got my attention. You're making me want to say yeah. I know you're trying to leave this. I said how I love you, keep you here with me, you baby. Now so they grab hold of my hand and let's pretend the flow was ours.
So now that I have all 10 fingers pretty much cut into like the V shape that I need so that I can go ahead and start shaping, I'm going to go in with my 8080 grit nail file and I'm going to just start shaping her nails into shape. So when it comes to shaping stiletto, one, you want to make sure that you push the client's skin back. You can see that I'm using my thumb as well as my pretty much, I guess, I don't even know what you would call them, like my index ring, middle, and pointer. I'm using all of those to push down the other side of her skin so that I do not cut her. And I'm just going in at a diagonal shape and I'm making sure that I do not spend too much time on one side so that I can avoid over filing. I'm also making sure that once my base is filed, I am only filing the tip. You can see that after I file the side walls down to shape, I am only using my nail file on the tip of the actual nail to get that sharp stiletto shape. This is how you shape stiletto. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it. They only really just, I guess, show you, but that is the key. You do want to make sure that you do not file your base really skinny. You need something for the nail to have as far as like to create your apex, like a little bit more of a wider base, because if you don't, the smaller the nail, the less surface area you have, so the more you're prone to breaking. So to avoid this, because stiletto is already one of those shapes that you really will pretty much end up breaking a lot easier than something like square, because like I said, it is delicate. You have a lot less surface area and you have tips as your the end of your nails is points. So you just want to make sure that you have a really sturdy base. And I kind of just try to think of it as like a triangle whenever I'm shaping, and I want to just make sure that I'm shaping the nail tip to my client's natural nail, something that will look and as if it was her natural nails that she grew out herself. You want to make sure that it look as natural as possible and that it kind of just flows with your client. And you can see I'm just pushing back her skin. Literally, cannot stress this enough. Please make sure you're holding your client's skin back. You can season your files, and by seasoning your files, I mean just going in with another nail file and just roughing the surface of all of the edges of the nail file to prevent from cutting your client. But I can't say 100% that will stop you from cutting your client, because these nail files are sharp and you do want to make sure you have a sharp nail file whenever you're filing, just to make sure that you get that nice and crispy shape. Now I would say that everybody doesn't go in straight for 80/80 grit nail file, but personally 80/80 grits are my favorite. I feel like it helps me cut down on my shaping time because I'm able to get more off. I do personally like to use the 80/80 zebra files, like the ones you see here. I do purchase these from Amazon as well. I feel like they work a little bit better than like the black nail files. Personal preference, it's up to you. You can decide to use a 100/180 grit nail file. I do from time to time use those, but it's just nothing like using my 80/80 grit nail file. And at this time, y'all, if you're still here, thank you. I'm so excited. I appreciate you guys. And I'm so happy that you guys decided to support me. So just make sure if you're new here that you subscribe, turn on your notifications so you can be notified every time I upload. I do go live, y'all. So y'all just join in on my live screens and join in the chat, Don't forget to drop a comment down below. Drop me a few emojis, or if you have any questions, feel free to drop it down below. If you want to see another shaping video or another nail shape, let me know. I just decided to do stiletto because I feel like that's the most underrated nail shape. I would say duck nails is starting to get up there with stiletto as well when it comes to shaping, because it is one of the harder shapes to shape. So I did decide to do stiletto. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know and I'll try to get back with you guys.
She think it's something got to do with my mama, while I can't love her like she need me. That's what you get when you think of a marriage. Now I wake up and I fuck on a bad bitch. Got me saying it's so hard, it's so hard. These perkies keep me sane. All my dogs, found them locked up in the cage. We get paid, we so paid. Move them bricks, then move on. Switch the bags, then move on, I'm in prison, yeah. Straight out the trenches, yeah. The niggas can't whip me, yeah. The richest, yeah. Rich nigga house on seats, yeah. All of these hoes came with it, yeah. All the motherfuckers came with it, yeah. I try to fight temptation, yeah. Top gun is on vacation, yeah. I'm not trying to hurt nobody, Car full of bullets, ain't finding no shooter. That what you get when you niggas delusional. I remember when they thought I was average. Now I wake up and I fuck on a bad bitch. I tried to fight temptation.
Girl, I get the money if it make you mine, oh. If you loving every night, it make you mad, oh. Now only you give me love and make me nice, oh. Nice, oh, nice, oh. I feel make you mine, oh. When I love you, plus I never make you minus. If I let you smoke it, you gon' lose my lighter. If you paranoid, then I'ma spend the night. You take it out of me every day. Diamonds and you, my money, I gon' pay. For your love, I gon' pay. It ain't making money, chase. I feel this for you every day. When you call, money back on me, play. For your love, I gon' pay. For your love, I gon' play. Psycho, make a trap is psycho. Baby, if you nice, it gon' drive me psycho. Baby, every dirty, don't make me mad. Make you sing to the mic. Girl, you are that looking in your eyes. Show you many things you can utilize. If I say I love you, then I tell you like so. Show you everything that I have tonight. Should I take you utilize? Girl, when we talk, we go read by go. Give you many things, we put them make you dance. So, girl, make you back up to the standing mic. It's falling and he never call you back. You should leave him. Let me put some money in your bag. You don't need what I mean is if he do you bad, ain't no reason. It ain't where you been, girl, it's where you at. Where you at? And I love you every day. Diamonds and you, my money, I gon' pay. For you. It ain't making money, chase. When you go, run it back on me, play. For your love, I gon' pay.
Cater to you.
All right, y'all, so I am working on her last finger, which is her thumb. You can see the shape is coming together really well. Don't forget to take all of these tips and tricks that I taught you guys and just try to, use them in your shaping. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll show you guys in the next clip how her nails turned out. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.